Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Magic and Miracles, where you learn how to be the magician of your life. My name is Anna, and I'm your most favorite manifestational coach on the internet, if I do say so myself. All the information is below. What makes me different from any other coach on the internet is that I coach in audio exchange primarily, as well as emails and phone calls. Most clients in my coaching also have access to me via text in case of emergency. I have different packages on my website. The link is directly below in the description box. I usually recommend that you sign up for coaching with me for at least a month. Realistically speaking, however, you do need coaching for 2 to 3 months. This is my experience from the coaching that I've created for YouTube, the lovely people of YouTube in particular. I've been coaching for almost 8 years now, different people of different walks, primarily in the entertainment business. I really love helping people. This is why I do this. I have been a model. I'm a fashion designer as well, an entrepreneur. I do this purely out of wanting to help people. And of course, I have to charge for my services because, like I said, there's nobody like me. Now, the way the coaching works is that you record an audio about yourself. We go through everything, your childhood, adolescence, college years, all the way up until today. The audio has to be 20-minute max at a time. I go through the audio, write down my notes by hand. I listen to it more than once usually. And I give you my analysis of what I'm listening to. And then we go back and forth. And this is how it works. Each package does have phone calls in it. I start with a phone call usually to get to know the person. The phone call lasts an hour. I usually go over by a few minutes. But also I record it with your permission, of course, and obviously. There's also a package that is strictly phone calls, or I should say mostly phone calls. And that's for somebody who just wants to be on the phone with me, okay? For the most part, because some people, like the audio exchange, and some people want to stay on the phone with me. Now, it's double the price because my time is money, and that's all it really comes down to. And for me, I have to then re-listen to our conversation and take down the notes, and the conversation usually lasts an hour, so it's a lot more work for me. But I really do want to listen back to it because there's certain things I want to write down, certain things I want to re-listen to several times, because I download a lot more of what the person is telling me second time around, listening to it. There's also a course for coaches who wants to become a coach themselves on my website, and as well as a seminar. And there's also a crash course for one, which is basically an audio with instructions how to do it all yourself if you don't want to, have interactions with me. But it does include a phone conversation with me that could last up to 2 hours with any questions. You do have to split that one up, though. I cannot stay for 2 hours on the phone at a time. It can be like 1 hour here and 1 hour there, okay? All of my packages include an agreement basically stating I'm not a psychiatrist, to please respect me as a coach, to respect the limit of the audio, to not, text me at crazy hours, and just, to basically be respectful, and that the coaching fee is not refundable. All right. You do have to pre-book for me to consider you as a client. There's usually a wait. I have many clients, but I consider the first come, first serve. If you pre-book, I always ask the people who are already in coaching with me if they want to renew And if somebody exits my coaching, I take on the next person who has already paid, and then we start the coaching. That's just how it works. So you need to sign the agreement, email me when you pre-book, and please use my website or use my Cash App. But, email me before, and to make sure that, I am aware that, you already pre-booked and you're ready to go. If you have any questions, my email is below. All right. And also, really quick, if you want to pre-book like more than 1 month, you can do that too. And again, you can use my website or use Cash App. I do recommend that you reserve the spot, because like I said, I just need to situate my schedule. That's what it's all about. Okay. I'm really inspired to record this for some reason. And I always record this when I'm inspired for my channel. This topic has come up in my coaching quite a bit. And I don't know why, but basically I will discuss this now. So a lot of people on the internet discuss SPs endlessly, right? And more or less the situation is the same, right? Somebody left, somebody got divorced, somebody broke up with someone, they're not talking to you, no contact, this and that. And really quick, I really meant to say this, okay, because this was part of my notes actually. Please come prepared to be, if you sign up for my coaching, please come prepared for me to be direct with you, okay? I am extremely direct. If you want to reside in your dysfunction, then have at it. I tell you exactly what's going on. I tell you exactly what the problem is. If you can't handle the truth, I'm not the coach for you. I'm just not. If you're going to fall apart on me and start rebuttaling me, questioning my methods, this and that, it's just not going to be good. I've done this long enough that I know exactly what the problem is if you let me handle the problem and take my guidance. I'm an extremely direct person. It comes more than pre-advertised on all of my YouTube videos. Okay. The idea is that the coach is on your side. This is why I'm actually so direct with you, so that temporarily you are uncomfortable with what I have to say to you, but ultimately it's for your benefit, so that I can break you out of your dysfunction if you let me. That's the whole idea. But some people take it, not a lot, and there hasn't been a lot of people that took it personally. Most people understand what I am about, but I just come with a warning that I'm very direct. All right, back to the subject. The subject of today is you made your SP disappear. And this is kind of why I prefaced it, that I'm direct. Because not a lot of people will tell you the actual truth on the internet. People milk the subject like no tomorrow. This technique, that technique, how to bring him back, la, 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 la. And I gotta be honest with you guys, right? The only reason, I already spoke about this, the only reason I started making audios/videos about SPs is because I looked at other people and I saw how full of shit they were. Okay? I mean, that's just the bare truth of it. I'm very happy discussing, really kind of like obscure subjects, like talking to my guides and how to telepathically communicate with other people. But once in a while, I see some video on YouTube and I'm like, are you joking right now? This is such misinformation, and this is what the reality of things is actually, like. So this is entirely a community service. Me telling you exactly what happened. So if you are in a position right now, right, and hear me out, here comes the controversial coach, the direct coach, not really controversial, just very direct. This is not a popular idea, but it is the truth, okay? If you're in a position right now where you don't have your SP, they ran off with somebody else, or they got married to somebody else, or they divorced you, or whatever, you don't have them basically. Okay, you don't have them. You created this. All right. I'm sorry, my darling, but you did. You did. Now, the idea is twofold. Just as well as you created this shitty version of events, you can uncreate it. But the creation of something new starts when you admit to yourself, when you have the balls to admit to yourself, yeah, I fucking did this shit. Yep, this is the reality of things, because you did. It's your reality. You manifested this version versus some other thing that you would really prefer. Now, you can throw a pity party and you can lament and tell me all the reasons why this is not fair and blah, 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 blah. I'll hear you out in my coaching, but then we'll say, okay, how did you create it? But how did you create it? And most often than not, 100% of the time, actually, it has to do with your programming, your belief system. Okay? You created this on automatic pilot thinking. Most of the time, honestly, it's the idea of that you're not worthy of that person somehow. You're not good enough. You're not the chosen one, especially if there's another person in the mix. And a lot of people react to this so viscerally, not viciously, sorry. Maybe even viciously, viscerally, but you don't have to, because you could just look at this sequence of events like, oh, I can see how I created it, and I will explain it to you in my coaching how you created it. It becomes quite really painfully obvious, because you instructed that person, you made them leave, you made them disappear with your thoughts, your insecurities, your ideas, your telepathic communication with that person, mentally instructing that person to leave you, to go somewhere else, to not be in your life. I'll tell you something really quick. Anytime, I already mentioned this in one of the audios, I forget which one. Anytime I didn't like somebody in my life, right? But I didn't quite had the heart to tell them directly. And this is in the past. This is when I wasn't as bold as I am today. That person would just leave my life. And I would complain and say, well, this person left my life. How dare they not even leave a message, nothing, blah, blah, blah. And it doesn't have to be a lover. It could be anybody, just friends or this and that, business partnership. But looking back at it, right, I was not happy having them in my life. There was some kind of thing that I had a problem with them. And internally, I said, go ahead and live my fucking life already. I'm not happy with you around. I don't agree with this, that, and the other. Okay? Nothing that you love, that you genuinely appreciate, ever leaves you. So there's this sort of dance, this energetical command that went out and created this circumstance for you. You created this situation to show yourself that, well, for one, lots of people who come into my coaching are mostly empath. I always say this to people because I recognize them. I know the difference between an empath and a narcissist. Once in a while, there'd been a couple of narcissists that wandered into my coaching, and I was quick to detect them, and that was the end of it. I just don't deal with people who, are not honest and this and that. So be prepared to be honest in my coaching. Otherwise, I feel when people lie to me. It's on another level. You have no idea. I'm very intuitive. Sometimes I wish I didn't have it, honestly, but actually, no, I do. Anyway, so this person that left, they didn't leave you. You left them. You left them emotionally, energetically. You disconnected from that premise. It may appear in 3D like, oh, poor me, they abandoned me, blah, 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 blah. It's not the truth. And that's the idea I really wanted to deliver to everybody today. It's not the truth. You made them disappear out of your life because something was not exactly in concert with you. Something was not agreeable. It doesn't just go like I said, nothing will abandon you that you really love. Never has it happened in the history of humankind, because it just, by energetically speaking, it's part of you, no matter what happens. Now think about a friend, for just as an example, and I'll prove my point for those doubters out there. I've had many friends in my life who sometimes I've had arguments with, and disagreements, essentially. Not really arguments, but disagreements. But the base of the relationship was that I really appreciated them. I really liked them underneath all of that, right? And you know what? I mean, I have friends that, I've been friends with for like 15 years and stuff. And, we both, all of us have busy schedules and this and that and the other, but essentially we're always in touch. It doesn't matter what disagreement, you see what I'm saying? It always goes back to, we like each other. We like each other, and that's the base of the relationship. And so that person never leaves your life permanently. It just doesn't exist. Now, if something was so tremendously like every morning you woke up and said, but this about this person, but that about this person, but why did they do that? You're energetically detaching from that person, okay? You are instructing them to be like, go ahead and get the hell out of here. Okay? Just leave me the fuck alone already. You might not be verbalizing it exactly like this, but energetically, that's what you're doing. It's exactly what you're doing. So for those of you, martyrs out there who are like, oh, somebody left me, somebody broke up with me. No, you broke up with them. You've instructed them to leave you. On an energy level, you didn't like something about their behavior, the way that they treated you, the way that they spoke to you. And so the work becomes, if you really want this person still, because sometimes people change their mind in my coaching, but if you want this person, you can have them back. You can. Once you fix, it's individual basically, but it's based on beliefs, the kinds of beliefs that you had. Maybe it's insecurity. Maybe it's that you're not the chosen one. And that's why the person acted this way in the first place. You see? And that's kind of what I go over in my coaching, because it really does matter what kinds of situations you created up until now. And then you can look at it for what it really is. Okay? Not for what you thought it was. Not for, poor me, I got left behind and this and that. No. You had an experience that you created from scratch, mind you. That very person that you created, right, was the entirety of him or her is your creation. And I mean from scratch, down to the eye color. I mean it. What they do for a living, what they, like to eat, all of this shit. It's your creation. It's like, I gave this example a while ago on my channel, the holodeck experience, where this guy says, please fetch me a sultry brunette and have her be like this and like that and like that. It's from Star Wars. I think it's Star Wars. And that's what you do every single day, I want to tell you, with your SP, with your work, with whatever, with the way you look, okay, with the kind of money you make, anything at all. You're just going to the holodeck and constructing the reality, and that person is your creation to begin with. So let's stop the drama panorama, like I say, and stop pretending that this is not your creation to begin with. That this SP didn't leave because you didn't instruct them so. You instructed them to leave you, nobody else. And the way you reverse those things is you start examining why you did it. And again, everybody's individual, everybody's different, right? So in one person's case, it may be insecurity. They started having thoughts or fears like, this is too good to be true. They're going to leave me. Bam, they left, self-fulfilling prophecy. In another person's case, it could be, I don't like this and that about them. I wish they could change, and it's really irritating. And right about now, I've had enough. And even though there are certain things you like about them, you're still kind of irritated about it. And all of a sudden, bam, they left. Now, in both cases, the recipe for success is this. You need to recognize that it is your creation. That's job one. Job two is, if you created this version who acts this way or whatever, you need to recreate it. You need to go to work on yourself first, obviously, because if you have insecurities and beliefs and fears and this and that, you need to work on yourself. But ultimately, right, it's the reconstruction of beliefs that got you there. That will get you where you want to go. Where you want to go is something entirely different than what you've constructed until this point. But the trick is this, right? The acceptance of the premise that you did construct it, that you did formulate this in your mind on some level. That's the most powerful technique, if you want to call it, that there is. Because if you start examining how you created it, and that you can create, that you're at liberty to create something different right about now, it's a game changer. It's a game changer. Rather than attributing importance to the 3D, once again, the aftermath of your thoughts, intentions, insecurities, fears, beliefs, whatever, you attributing importance to you, reconstructing the 3D all over again. And so you can say to yourself, okay, I'm the victim here. I got left behind. I got cheated on. I got betrayed. Or you can say, I'm taking the power back into my hands at this moment, at this very moment, and I'm constructing a new reality. And I've been sloppy in my creation. There is that, no doubt about it. And it takes some humility. It takes being humble, all right, to come to this point, which is why I require that you be humble in my coaching. Otherwise, we don't have a dialogue. We don't have a conversation. If you're going to get on your ego trip, you know what? Leave me out of it. I don't want to deal with that. I need you to be humble and accept that you created it, and because it's to your advantage. That's the technique. Like I said, if you accept that you created it, you are in charge. You accept that you are in fucking charge. So if you're in charge and you created sloppily some fucking stupid creation, all right, fabulous, fantastic. And I really do mean it, because it's information. Well, now I know I'm of course. Now imagine if the universe, because I say the universe is always on your side. And here's how. It always translates your creations into 3D. That's letting you know where you're at. Now imagine if it never did, and you just kind of like haphazardly stumbled into some creations that didn't make any sense. Whereas if you really honestly examine what has actually been going on internally, then you understand that the entirety of time you've been in charge and nobody else. And that's the entire dance, like I said, that's the entire energy dance, where you recognize, I get it now. I understand how I created it, so now I know how to create something that I want and keep creating it, right? And keep creating it. And that's the entire shebang. So at no point do you need to go chase anybody? Do you need to beg anybody? Do you need to convince anybody of anything? It doesn't really matter if it's a romantic partner or, a business partner, friend, blah, 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 blah. You just need to sit like a golden Buddha in the middle of your universe, without shame, without embarrassment for anything really, because it's all a learning experience. It's quite all right. And say, okay, well, all right, so this is a messy creation. It's all right though, because just like a painter who paints like some shit on the canvas, I can get a new canvas and start painting right now. And then what? I'm unstoppable, right? So in that sense, there's no fucking this up. And I mentioned this in the last audio. There's really no fucking this up. Why? Because you can always get a new canvas. You can always start fresh in the next moment. In the next minute, you can completely transform everything you've created. Now, it was also in my last audio that you can't just jump from one blueprint of beliefs into the new one instantaneously. It does take work. It does take work. It just does. Just as long as you experienced certain events that took maybe a prolonged amount of time in your life that created that belief system. Because all it is, it's just experiences that formulate, beliefs. In the same manner, you have to invest in new beliefs, formulating those beliefs, formulating the new identity that will come with the new world, that will create everything you want. But the idea is it's all a reflection of you. Now, I'm not saying that, we all have to be perfect and 100% of the time you're going to create mesmerizing events or mesmerizing people. But for the most part, for like 90% of the time, you can do that. You can be so attuned to your energy that say, okay, I'm a little bit kind of like out of whack here, misaligned. I'm going to go back to my drawing board and kind of like reestablish my vibration a little bit more. Because right now I'm feeling kind of like whatever. But as long as you catch yourself, and for the most part, you are accepting, not for the most part, for the 100% of the time, you're accepting that you are the ruler of your universe, and nobody in your universe does anything, first of all, that you didn't instruct them to do on some level, and secondly, that you cannot change, okay? Now, when I say this, parenthesis here, provided you really give a shit about this person, okay? I'm not talking about people who just kind of randomly do stupid things, okay, in your life, because that's going to happen. I mean, life happens and it's how you react towards it. I'm talking about people that are your SPs or your parents, friends, business partners, and this and that. Those are the people that I'm talking about in this recording. Because like I said, if you really care about something, if there is love involved, if there is affection involved, if there's caring involved, this is the premise that is necessary, essentially, for you to start getting involved in transforming that person. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. Because like I said, if there's no love involved, it will just leave you. It will just leave you. And if that's the case, then, forget about it. And that's your answer. In conclusion, if something happened in your world, you created it. Period, the end. And I know a lot of people will have a lot of comments. I look forward to receiving a bunch of mail. But essentially, if you need to get into my coaching, all the information is below. Like I said, there's usually a wait. You need to pre-book. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time. Ciao, ciao.